Awesome. Welcome everyone. Ah! I am so excited to have you all here. We have such an amazing group of women here live and then humans in general who will be watching the replay. I'm just excited. Yes, take a moment, honor yourself for being here. Maybe move your body, shake out any nerves, anything you got going on. It's just like we hold so much in our body. It feels good to just get it out. So thank you all so much for being here, for being on time. We might have a few people trickle in as we get started. You are welcome to have your camera on. I love to see you. I love to be able to see your faces. If you're like in the middle of doing something, no worries. I'm happy to have you here, ears and all. This is being recorded. So if for whatever reason you don't want like your face to be shown, I don't know, privacy reasons, whatever, you're welcome to have your camera off. But yeah, we have a really cool community here. So I'd love to see your face. But yay, so welcome everyone. I am so freaking stoked to share this masterclass with you. I honestly feel like, so I've been hosting masterclasses for like a year and a half now. And I honestly feel like this is the masterclass that feels the most aligned for me, because this is everything that I've learned from my life and business experience. And it's just so near and dear to my heart for so many reasons, because not like it's all about the money. I know that everyone here is so heart-centered, and I love that so much about you. And it's not like you're just in this business for the money, like you genuinely care about people. Everyone in this room, I know a little bit about your story. There's some newer faces for me, but I know in general, you really care about making the world a better place, and you really care about your connection to your spirit, and then bringing that to other people as well. And I believe that you can have both. You can have the massive impact, the massive change in other people's lives, and still be extremely financially successful through that medium. So in this masterclass, my goal for you is to really bridge the gap between the work that you do, the work that really lights you up, and how you can make it super profitable. I am really excited. I just honestly feel like giving you so much today because I have spent so much time and so much energy learning and implementing this material, and it's just fucking awesome. So yes, I'm so excited to have everyone here. Feel free so one thing I'd love to start doing too, like in these new community events, is like dropping in the chat. So if you're free, I'd love to know like where you're tuning in from. I know we have a couple San Diegans here, but I'd love to know, like, just drop in the chat, let us know where you're tuning in from. It's just kind of fun to see like we're all around the world and where people are at. So feel free to drop in the chat where you're based, what you're excited to take away from this. We got San Jose, Renee in San Jose. I love it. I know we got Sheldon here in San Diego. Ontario, Canada. Yes, Brooklyn, all over the globe here. We are a global community. So very cool. Awesome. So let's go ahead and jump right in. Who's excited? Awesome. So I did put together, actually, let me open it up first before I start sharing. I did put together a little presentation, and to be honest, I might not follow it exactly because I just like being in the moment. But I like to make these kinds of things. First of all, I'm super visual, so I like to provide visuals for you. Second of all, it helps me stay focused because I don't know if anybody's into Ayurveda, but I've got like tons of Vata energy. So I'm like, oh, and it can be really helpful to like have something to just stay on track. So let's go ahead and dive right in. Okay, cool. So obviously the behind the scenes of a 23K launch, that's the name of this masterclass. So this launch was for my program, Divine Business Activator. And this was actually in end of May that this happened. The program started in June. And it's not my first program, and it's not my first 5-figure launch. I've actually had a handful, well, not a handful, I've had a few 5-figure launches throughout my business career, throughout my sales career. And I've learned that there's a few elements that are in common of each 5-figure launch. So I'm going to go into some of that. I'm going to go into some of the specifics that I did in this launch, because I felt like this launch, first of all, this launch was exciting for me because for those of you who know or don't know me, I essentially grew my business doing direct outreach. That was what I did when I worked in sales for a really long time. So reaching out to people, building relationships with people who are cold, not cold pitching, but networking, expanding my network through directly reaching out to people. Now, this launch is particularly near and dear to my heart because this was the first launch where I didn't book it out that way. This is the first launch I booked out through people actually reaching out to me. So that was like a really big up level in my business. And it's just really amazing because for those of you who have studied business, and I know a couple of you in this room have worked with me one-on-one, when you start to apply this stuff, you don't always get results right away, right? It's kind of like the spiritual component is letting go of the timeline, right? We can't be so attached to like when it's going to happen. And I feel like the minute we do that, shit starts happening. It's like the wildest, most counterintuitive thing ever. It's like, as soon as you're like, okay, I surrender, like I trust that this is going to work out exactly as it should, that's when things start unfolding. So this was a very special launch for me, and I just love this program. And yeah, so let's get started. For those of you who don't know me, I wanted to introduce myself briefly. I'm Sophia Christine. That's my middle name. My last name nobody can pronounce, so I wanted something that people, can understand and do that. So a little bit about me. I love traveling, especially to Spanish-speaking countries. Hablo español, más o menos, depende en el día. I studied it for a long time in school, and I really love to like meet new people and practice my Spanish. Meeting people in general, I know there's a few of you in here who are really big into like the festival community and like just like meeting new people, like making connections. Like I truly believe I'm a non-dualist at heart. I believe we're all connected. I believe we're all one. I believe that we're connected with the divine. That's not separate from us, right? We live in this world of illusion and make believe and yada, yada, ego runs society. But that's not what is our real nature. So that's great. And I don't have a desire to be like a monk at this stage in my life, because I do have a desire to have a successful business and to do some of these other things in the world. And to be honest, I've always wanted my own business. Like I remember even when I was like 19 at university and I'm taking all these science classes and being like, I don't even want to learn this stuff. Like, I just want to be an entrepreneur. And I just remember like deeply wanting to be an entrepreneur for as long as I can remember, honestly. Like that's just always kind of how I saw my life unfolding. But it took me a really long time to figure out what I wanted to do. And to be honest, I always wanted to be a coach because my dad started studying hypnotherapy and NLP when I was a teenager. And I was just like, whoa, this stuff is so cool, like personal development, like this realm of like spiritual psychology and all of this stuff. But I was like, okay, I'm like a teenager right now learning this stuff. This was like over 10 years ago, right? How am I going to start a business doing this? I had all these limiting beliefs. So it was funny because I was studying limiting beliefs and like the psychology behind it. Yet I was being held back by all my own, like, oh, I'm too young. I'm not ready to like do all this stuff. So it took me a long time of like trying things. I ended up working in sales for 4 years. That was where I really learned the business side of it, which was I never wanted a corporate job. And I somehow ended up with a corporate job, which was like funny, right? We self-fulfilling prophecy, we get what we fear, we get what we don't want if that's what we're focusing on. But it ended up building a really nice foundation for myself to learn sales and to learn some of the foundational things. And it also like, it boosted my confidence. Like I really believe like wherever you're at in your journey, it is absolutely serving your greater picture. It might not feel like it. And it might feel like, fuck, I want to be farther along, but I promise you wherever you're at, is divinely perfectly planned and aligned, whether you believe in like destiny or what. I have mixed feelings on it, separate conversation. But I really want to honor like where you're at and just let you know that like, I truly believe it's serving your greater good wherever you are. So yeah, I launched my business. I got really serious about my business like in the end of 2020. And I hired my first business coach and I was like, I'm going to do this thing. And then I still struggled with like, well, what do I want to coach on? I was like doing LinkedIn marketing. And then I was like, I want to help people get sober. And like, I was just like all over the place. So in October of of last year, I launched my first like real program. I had been working with people one-on-one for like 6 months at that point, and I had been like all over the place in my one-on-one work. Some of my one-on-one clients were like spirituality, some of them were business. So I launched a program, and that was my first 5-figure launch that I had back then. And then I just kind of started to build from there, and it's been really it's been exciting. It's been an exciting journey. So I'm excited for you, everyone that's here, because if I can do this, then you can absolutely do this too. All of you are such incredible humans. Like, I know most of you personally, and I just love you and think you have so much to offer the world. So I put this in here just because it's kind of fun. Like, it's one thing when you experience the success. It's another thing when your clients get to experience the success. So really, really cool to see the women that I've worked with. I actually have a couple male clients, so I don't want to discriminate, but mostly I work with women, and getting to see their businesses come to life, and getting to see like them starting to make money and them starting to like bring their gifts to the world is really, it's fucking awesome. Like, it's really, really cool. And I'll say this too, like, starting a business, you really need to want it. Like, you really need to want to do the stuff, and it needs to be like, okay, I'm going to fucking do this. Like, I want to do this. Like, you need to have that drive within you to like really want it. I can't give that to you. You can't take a special magic pill to give you that kind of drive. Like, you really have to find that from within. But for me, seeing other people and how they're experiencing this, that kind of helps ignite that inner fire. So that's also something I'm hoping you'll get from this as well. Yeah, like I said, this isn't my first 5-figure launch. So I'm kind of taking like the bits and pieces of what I've seen in common, and then specifically highlighting the aspects of this last launch that were really successful. And it's not all strategy. Like, there's definitely a huge energetic component of it as well. And like, that's a big part of what I do in my work too, is like, I'm not just helping you with the strategy, but there's a huge energetic component behind it. Like, your belief in what you offer, your embodiment of your work. And I'm like obsessed with non-attachment right now, like almost like this, like, you don't care attitude, but of course you do care, but you're not attached to like one particular person signing up with you, or like one particular launch going a certain way. It's just kind of like this trust, this unshakable trust that it's working out. Like, you're going to get there. I fully believe that for all of you. Like, you are going to get there. Could be tomorrow, could be 6 months from now, but you will get there. And in reality, time's all made up anyway. So why the fuck does it matter? You're going to get there. So real quick, before we dive in, I just want you to take a moment. Speaking of the energetics and the embodiment piece of it, I don't know. I know everybody is kind of at a different place in their business. Like, everybody here is an entrepreneur. Either you have an offer that you're really excited about, either you don't have an offer you're really excited about, maybe you have an offer and you're not excited about it. So my question for you is, what would it feel like if you had an offer, if you had a program that you were like, I love this so much, and you just had that excitement? Like, what would that feel like? How would you show up from that place? How does that relate to how you're showing up today? Does that image of you being excited about this, is that represented in how you're showing up today? Also thinking about, I think also, obviously you all are so smart. Like, you know, that mindset is a really important piece. One of the shifts that I experienced in my mindset is not just thinking about the money. Obviously, like, the money is like such a surface level result. It's a surface level result, right? But really, like, what's the impact? What would it feel like to see 10 people, 20 people, their lives change through your work? Like, what would that feel like, right? Tuning into that energy, that's a way different energy than like, I want to make $20,000. It's like, no, I want to change 20 people's lives. Like, that's a way different energy. That's a heart-led energy, bringing our focus out of our head into our heart. Really important. Bringing it embodied, right? Like, bringing it into our body, leading with our heart space, leading with that energy, thinking about the people's lives we're going to change, understanding the compound effect of our work in their lives, and how it also has a ripple effect, right? Like, it's not just their life, it's like the people whose lives surround their lives who are affected. So getting into that energy, what would that feel like? Just take a moment, close your eyes, and like, just imagine that. know that this feeling is always there for you. See some smiles. Yes, love it. Yeah. You can bring this feeling, this embodiment with you into everything. Amazing. So what I want to dive into today is clarifying what your people are going to get from the offer. So this is really important. This is something I focus on extensively. Those of you who've worked with me one-on-one know it's being able to communicate the end result with your people. So we'll dive more into that, what that means for you. Second, we'll dive into speaking about your offer. Hype. People only know what you share with them. If you don't share with them that you have an offer, how the heck are they supposed to know you have an offer? You need to share with them. You need to share with them on a regular basis. People are, they have busy minds, you know, like everybody's caught up in their own life. People are thinking about like what they have to do that day. They're not thinking in the back of your mind. Just if you speak about an offer one time, that might not be enough for people to remember it. I also teach in my programs how to create an attractive freebie to get people interested. So this is what I did for this last launch. I'll go into that specifically, what that looked like. Like I said, to embodying the energy, but specifically on sales calls. So like, yes, in your everyday life, definitely when you're showing up on social media, but what about when you're like having a sales call with a client? Like, yeah, embodying that energy, being able to like keep your cool, owning the nerves, like all that good stuff. And then lastly, prioritizing play and pleasure, I think is really, really important. And I don't feel like this is like more of like the feminine side of business versus like the masculine side of business, like really prioritizing this play in your work and what you do. So firstly, you got to get clear on what your people are going to get from your offer. If you get anything from this class, I really hope it's this. So what are the results that people can expect, right? One of the analogies that I use is like a vacation, right? Like if you're going to, for us who are in California, if you're going to Italy, Italy's pretty far from California. So, you know, you got to like cross the East Coast and you got to cross the Atlantic Ocean, then you got to like get to Italy. If you're going to Italy, the the exciting part about going to Italy is usually not the vehicle to get there. Yes, the plane ride, the time in the airports, it can be exciting, but after like 11, honestly, for me, after like 5 hours in an airport, I'm like, or an airplane, I'm like, I'm ready to like be there. So you want to think about this analogy in your messaging too. I see this a lot. A lot of us are healers. A lot of us are like you have work that the work that you do involves people going through work, inner child healing. This is one that I see a lot of. That might resonate with your audience, but they might be looking for the end result too. So getting really clear on like, first of all, you got to know the language of your audience. That's really important. But you need to focus on the end result, right? So many of us are focused on the work that we need to do to get to the end result. And it's like focusing on the plane ride to Italy rather than the beaches in Italy and the fashion and the food and the romance and the Vespas. Like you want to paint an image for your people of like what they're going to get when they get to Italy. Like that's the goal, right? So this was something I did in my launch a lot, is like one of the things that I focus on is helping you create an offer that you feel excited about, right? So like, that's what I communicated. I was like, I'm going to teach you how to create an offer that you feel really excited and aligned with. And that's something that people want, right? So being able to communicate, like, if you are a mindset coach, or if you are working with some of like the emotional and energetic components of it, being able to communicate, like, you're going to feel so confident, like, who are they going to be on the other side of it? Not what is the work that they need to get there, but who are they going to become as a result of it? Communicating to the end result. I put on here too, like sexifying it, right? Like making it like a sexy end result, right? Like, oh my gosh, like I think this is not going to come off how I want it to, but like sex sells, you know, it's like sexifying, like making it intriguing, making it like appealing, the end result, making the end result appealing to your audience, right? What they're going to get, why they should care, who they'll become, right? A lot of the work that we do is about an identity transformation. It's not like you're going to get you're like, it's not a tangible result necessarily. You're going to get XYZ. You're going to get like $50,000 in your bank account by this date. Like, we're dealing with so many intangible results, but speaking to who they'll become, right? Like, you're going to become somebody who can hold their boundaries. You're going to become somebody who can confidently take that trip, or like whatever it is that your people want, really understanding what your ideal clients want, right? Why would they want to be working with you? That's something else I dive into in my one-on-one work, is like really getting clear on your ideal client. What do they want? What do they want? What can you get them that they want, right? Why they should care, why you care too. What's your why, right? Breaking down the why. It's not like I said in the beginning, it's not like you're just doing this to make money. No, you actually give a shit. You want to help people. Like, you care. You have gone through something. You want to share that with the world, but you also got to pay your bills, and you deserve to live a luxurious life if that's what you want, to be able to travel, to be able to take time off when you want. And that's totally cool too. Like, very cool. I could do a whole separate training on like money mindset and like releasing guilt. I feel like societally, especially like as women, we have a lot of guilt around wanting to make money. Bullshit. It's such bullshit. It's like a huge journey for all of us too, like letting go of that societal guilt of like, no, you can have it all, right? Like, you are the creator, the creatrix of your life. Yeah, heck yeah. So that's a part of it as well too. Like, that's more of like the energetics and the embodiment, but like letting go of some of that guilt, letting go of some of that shit. It's not helping, you know? It's not making you more holy and more godly to hold on to guilt. Like, actually the opposite. But that's okay too. I'm not in the business of shaming people or myself or anybody for feeling what they feel. It's more like loving ourselves through those feelings, I think, is really important as well. Okay, cool. So, hype. Let me ask you, for those of you who have an offer, how much have you spoken about it online? How often have you shared about it? 0. Sheldon says 0. Yeah. Do you think your people can psychically read your mind and know? One launch. Sarah says she had one launch. So if you don't tell your people what you do, how they can work with you, how do you expect them to know how they can work with you? Weekly, Natasha says weekly. Oops. So weekly is pretty good, right? But is that enough? I'm going to go into that. So here's the thing about business too. There's no one way to grow a business. I'm really big on finding the way to grow your business that feels aligned to you, because I've worked with several very high level mentors who are all very successful, and they all teach business differently. It's like some people are like, share about your offers every day. Some people are like we didn't even go into that. So there's no one way to do this, but I have found what works for me is speaking about my offers at least 4 days a week, minimum. But this is where the energetic piece comes into this. Only speak about your offers when you feel good. But here's the other kicker. If you're only waiting till you feel good to speak about your offers, you might be waiting a long time, because we can't just that's like playing a victim to our feelings, right? Our feelings are not facts, right? Are you going to and not to discredit or make our feelings wrong, but I think there's also a power in being dedicated to your work and being dedicated to showing up for your community, because you believe in your why, you believe in what you have to offer them. So that drive, right? Getting excited about the end result, getting excited about how many people's lives you can change, and embodying that energy to go into speaking about your content. Another thing you can do, so speaking about your content in various forms, right? We have stories, we have reels, we have posts, we have carousels, we got all these different avenues of content that we can take. I think it's a good idea to mix them up. I also think it's a good idea to do what the fuck feels good for you. So if you really like making reels, make reels. If you fucking hate making reels, don't make reels. There's other ways to do it. I like reels right now. I'm sure most of you know, Instagram is really promoting reels. They just get a lot better reach. Not that it's all about reach. It's really about depth, not so much about how many people you're reaching, but the depth of relationship that you're building with the people that you do reach. But another thing that's important to mention is having strong and clear and concise calls to action. So I like to mix these up. You'll notice this too if you look at my content. Like sometimes I'll write, I love to write. So like sometimes I'll write something and have a call to action at the end. Sometimes I just have like, boom, call to action. But being clear about what's the next step somebody needs to take to work with you. Do you want them to reach out to you? Do you want them to click a button? Like what do you want them to do? Right? Like letting them know, making it very clear and concise. Do this for this. Like obviously adding a little more soul and heart into it. But yeah, like give them a next step. Give them something that they can do. I think reels are really fun to do this personally. Like I said, they do get more reach. And there's ways to have a lot of fun, like theming content around your launch. So you're not just like selling, hey, buy my program. Hey, sign up for my program. Hey, sign up for my program. Because I don't know about you, but that gets really old for me after a while. So almost like selling in a subconscious way, selling in a way where it doesn't feel like you're selling. You're just like enthusiastically sharing about what you have to offer. And then being like, oh, by the way, this is what I do in my program. I'm really, really big on subconscious selling. I've dove really deep into this the last few months. And I did this a lot for this last launch and it worked really, really well. What I mean by subconscious selling is you're not like, hey, I'm going to sell you, this is my program, but rather being like speaking about like your client wins is a great way to subconsciously sell. Like I was so excited. I had this one client and we did this together and this was the result that she got. And like, that's just so freaking cool. And like, I love this work so much. And like, by the way, I also have this program if you're interested, like leaning into it like that, leading with excitement, leading with storytelling. Storytelling is so powerful in marketing. I love it so much. Why you give a shit about this work, right? How you found this work. Another thing that's really important to do is bring up who it's for, right? This is for the woman who's ready to set healthy boundaries in her life. This is for the woman who's ready to experience healthy confidence in her life. This is for the man. It could be a man. This is for the man who wants to learn how to be more mindful, learn how to like how to navigate his emotions more. Bringing that up on a regular basis. You have to be a little bit repetitive. I don't know if that's the right word because I feel like repetitive has a negative connotation, but you have to remind your people on a regular basis, I have this offer, I have this program, I have this thing. This is how you can learn more about it. This is how you can hear more about it. If you're interested, if you're curious, if you have any inclination, if you just feel like the smallest ting of excitement about this, please reach out to me. I would love to get to know you. Like being clear, giving your audience a doorway to work with you. Otherwise, how can you expect them? If you think about it from their position too, it's fucking scary to reach out to a stranger online or even scarier, somebody you know, and ask for help. Like, you know how scary that is? So like making the pathway, making it clear, making the opportunity very presentable, making it very obvious and clear how they can work with you, I think is really important. Cool. So this is one of my favorite things. This is actually like one of my secret formulas that I have created in my business. This is what I teach my clients. This is why people have been able to get such great results. It's kind of like a simplified funnel. Has anyone ever heard of like a sales funnel? You know what that is? Sales funnel. Essentially a funnel is like, for those, if you're not familiar with it, a sales funnel, if you think about a funnel, like the top of a funnel is very wide. So you can like catch, I don't know, like, what do you use a funnel for? Rain? I don't know. You can catch more raindrops. And then it kind of like all comes together out through the narrow hole. So if you think about like a business funnel, you have something at the top that attracts more people, right? And then the people who are interested, it kind of gives them like a feel for your work, right? And the people who like it are more likely to like continue on with you. Now I teach a very special kind of freebie formula in my one-on-one work. And there's different kinds of freebies, right? Like I've played around with like a masterclass or a free session. Like obviously I'm doing this as a free masterclass. But really the freebie should be like a pre-party for your event. Or for your offer. I heard somebody say this, one of my mentors says this, and I love it. Like, it's like a pre-party for your offer, right? Like you want to get people excited. You want to give them a taste, a little flavor for what it's like to work with you. It's also important. Okay. So when we get into the freebie, we get into sales because there's a balance between like giving everything away and then also like selling, because you also want, part of having a business is making money. My boyfriend said this to me when we first started dating, and I wanted to punch him in the face because I had all these like things. I was like, oh, I have this business. And he was like, cool. How much money have you made doing that? And I was like, none. And he was like, okay, then it's just a hobby. It's not a business. And I was like, oh, asshole, what the fuck? Like, I can't believe you said that to me. Looking back on it, I understand it now. It's fine to have a hobby. It's fine to have a, even like a nonprofit. It's fine to do things for free. I love doing stuff for free. I love giving shit away. Like, I'm like, I give a lot. I over deliver in my programs. I just like it. Like, I love the people I work with so deeply. Like, I have no problem doing that. But at the end of the day, I have bills to pay, and so do you. And like, we have to get people to pay us. So this is where sales comes in. Sales is important. So learning how to do sales, learning how to sell in a masterclass or in a free session, learning how to do that is really an important skill. This is what I teach. I worked in sales for 4 years. I've learned a lot of what not to do and a lot of what to do. I've invested very, very deeply in very high level mentors, some who are making millions in their business in just a few short years. Like, really, the sky is the limit. But the common thread that I've seen in all of it is everybody knows how to fucking sell. Like some people, like one of my mentors, like she sells so well. I'm like, I just want to like sell like you. I'm willing to give you my money so I can learn how to sell like you, you know, like, and it's a skill. It's an art. Really good salespeople, you don't know they're selling to you unless you study sales and you're like, see what you're doing. So it's an art, right? And you want your people to feel supported. You want your people to feel led in that process, because at the end of the day, you can't force anybody to sign up with you. That would be so weird. Like, there's manipulative sales, which some people do. I am not in that business. I'm all about you making an empowered decision to sign up for your best interest, because it feels like the best thing to do. I also don't believe in failure. I believe there's just learning opportunities. And if something doesn't go the way that we want, it's like, cool, now you know, you can learn from it. But one of the things that's really important in this process is embodying your confidence. Recently, I have been so big on like owning my humanness. So literally calling my humanness out. Like I'm doing a mastermind right now, and I was leading it, and I was like, I am so nervous right now. Like, can I just like shake this off for a second? And like, that's totally cool. Calling yourself out when you're feeling human, like, that's okay. I feel like for me and my story, I tried for so long to pretend like everything was great all the time. I feel great. Every time I'm happy. Oh, everything's great. And it just like really killed me inside. And I had to learn how to be okay with being a human and having imperfections. I think also too, when it comes to this area with the freebies, with sales, it's owning your zone of genius. So nobody is good at everything, right? But you're probably really freaking good at one or a few things. And it's like owning that, right? Usually it's a few things. And this is another reason why a lot of people come to work with me, is they have several things that they're passionate about. And it's like, how do I start a business around this? And then like, this is over here and I love this. But it's like, you get to own that. That's your zone of genius, right? Even if it's one thing and another thing that seemed totally unrelated, like that's your zone of genius. You get to own that. Highlighting what you're really, 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 really good at. Like, I am really, really, really good at sales. It's what I've studied a lot of. I'm really, really good at marketing. I'm really, really good at helping you create an offer. I'm not a course creator. I don't know how to fucking make a course. I don't know how to teach you how to make a course. I don't teach passive income. I teach high ticket sales. Like, that's what I'm really good at. And then from there, that gives you a foundation to do things like create a course, to create passive income. But I love the foundational layers of business. I love them. I'm a little obsessed with them because it's so fun to take ideas out of the ideation phase and then turn them into reality, and then turn that into A, profit, and B, an opportunity for you to change the world and change other people's lives. So yeah, that's the freebie. Really important when you're having a launch. Promote the freebie. I think it's really important. Giving the freebie an attractive name. Another thing that I dive into. It's not like, hey, you want to sign up for a free session, but it's like, you know, you have to make it relative to what your audience wants. Remember, you're giving them Italy. You're not giving them the plane ride. Sales. Who in here loves sales? Does anybody like love sales? Sheldon? Anybody not like sales? some people like really don't like sales. I love sales because to me, it's communication. And if we came at it from that angle, I think a lot more people would like sales. Say, hey, do you like communication? Who in their right mind would be like, no, I don't like communication? What? It's like a basic, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I feel like that's like a basic rite of passage as a human, like learning how to communicate. Sales is communication. It's learning how to communicate what you do and whether or not it's a good fit for somebody. It's also learning how to ask the right questions. You need to know what to ask in order to know if somebody's a good fit. If somebody's not a good fit and you don't know, and you start working with them, and then you get months into your container together and they're like, this isn't what I wanted. This isn't what I thought I signed up for. And you're like, oh shit, because you didn't ask the right questions in the beginning, right? So sales is really important. It's definitely a fundamental part of business. I love doing one-on-one sales calls. Some coaches and business people are like, you don't want to do that because you want to free up your time and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, yes, totally. When you're deep in your business and you know clearly what your people want, what you have to offer and who it's for, absolutely. You graduate, right? Sales calls are like a very fundamental and foundational piece. The reason I like sales calls is because you get basically like free market research. You get to meet with people and ask them what they want. You get this opportunity to like get inside your ideal client's head, which is so powerful. Like you can't buy that kind of market research, honestly. So that's one of the reasons I love sales calls. The other thing too is like, it's a separate skill, right? So like doing a masterclass like this is something I've been working on for years. I also have been working on one-on-one sales calls for years, but I've been doing that a little bit longer. So like there's separate skills, right? But whether you're doing a sales call or you're doing a masterclass, these are the principles you want to follow. Letting go of attachment to results. It is not your responsibility. You can never force someone to sign up with you. You cannot manipulate somebody. You cannot objection handle somebody enough to sign up with you. Yes, you can objection handle. And a lot of sales is coaching people through their own fear, because a lot of people have fear to invest in themselves because they're afraid that what you have to offer won't get them the results, or they're afraid that they're going to fail, or they're afraid that they're afraid they might fail themselves. So coaching people through their own fear, but letting go of the attachment to results, because ultimately the person on the other end of the sales call or the masterclass, it's their decision. You can't force anyone. I can't force anyone to sign up with me. You can't force anyone to sign up with you. So letting go of the attachment. And it's so wild. Like, oh God, I honestly, I have like a love-hate relationship with like quantum manifestation, because it pisses me off, because I want to know the how. I want to know who it's going to be. And this last launch was like, literally, I had 3 people reach out to me and they were like, I've been following you. I love all your stuff. I want to sign up. And I was like, what? Where did these people come from? I had no idea that they were even watching my stuff, right? So that's what quantum manifestation is, right? I also had calls with people who were like, it's not the right time. I'm not ready to sign up for this. And it can feel devastating. It's like, oh, I really wanted them to sign up, but like, that's not the right energy, because there's so many people out there who want and need your services that there's no use in getting upset about it. There's so many people out there. It's like letting go of attachment. If it's not that person, if it's not right for them right now, don't force them. Don't force it. There's somebody else out there who's probably watching you and you don't even realize they're watching you, and they're the perfect fit. So like letting it go. And when you open yourself up, gosh, and I can't even believe I'm saying this, because when other people say this, I'm serious, it pisses me off. But like being in the vibration of having the clients, when you show up for your content, when you show up for your master classes and sales calls, that's the energy, right? That's the energy of it. Leading as if you already have the people are interested, leading as if you already have the people in your container, getting excited for the outcome, and then embodying this, right? Like I said, you're going to get there, whether it's tomorrow or in 6 months or in 6 years. Like ideally, I mean, our ego wants to be like, I want it yesterday, but that's another thing, letting go of attachment to the results, because it's going to happen. Does it matter? Does it matter if it's tomorrow or if it's in 6 months? If it's going to happen, you know? But I've also found weirdly that when we do embody this, at least in my own experience, when I embody this, literally people come out of nowhere and I'm like, where did you come from? This is wild. It's like really crazy. Like the internet, I definitely focus on social media. That's what I've used to grow my business. And there are billions of people on social media, like billions, and probably like hundreds of thousands of people who resonate with you. Hundreds of thousands of people, maybe even millions that resonate with you. So this is also like a quantum mindset restructure that I think is really important for launching. Also, too, I'm going to add this in, a little bonus, because I just feel like giving right now. Knowing that you never fail with launching. If you do a launch and let's say worst case scenario, what's the worst thing that could happen? Worst thing is nobody signs up. Okay, boohoo. Yes, it sucks. I've been there. I've launched things like last year. I launched this social media intensive. I had one person sign up and then they dropped out before it even started. And I was like, fuck, sucks. I was really upset, but letting go of the attachment, and also knowing you get infinite opportunities to launch. You get infinite opportunities to learn from launching. If you have a failed launch, it's not a failed launch because you're going to learn from it. I mean, I think it's really our ego fears embarrassment. I'm going to be so embarrassed if nobody signs up. That's an ego thing, right? Like, what does it mean if nobody signs up? Doesn't really fucking mean anything. Like, you might not be marketing to the right audience. You might not have the right messaging. Like maybe it means that a little bit, but you can fix that. Like, I promise you, there are people out there who want what you have to offer, and embodying that energy, you get infinite opportunities to launch. You get infinite opportunities to work with people. For those of you who have also worked with me, I usually ask, like, how long do you want to be in this business? And most of you are like, for the rest of my life. And I'm like, cool. Then what if you launch something tomorrow versus 2 or 3 months from now? Like, long-term in your life, is that like a deal breaker? No? Okay. Well, then, you got to keep going. You got to keep, what's the word? You got to keep like reinventing. Not really, because once you have something good, you don't necessarily need to reinvent it, but like re-embodying, like there's always a way to do it. Like I promise you, failure does not exist in business. You get infinite opportunities to launch, embodying that energy, quantum manifestation, being in the vibration, super powerful. So lastly, okay, so prioritizing play and pleasure. I'm gonna look at the time really quick too. I dropped my phone, but I can't see it on my computer. Okay, cool. So I'm really big on creating a personal brand. This is something that I teach extensively because, first of all, I think it's the easiest way to market yourself on social media, especially for those of us who are coaches or who work with people intimately, whether in a one-on-one container or a group container. They'll be working with you really closely. So you want to give people an insight into who you are. So we have a chat. Jasmine said, I had one person show up for my last launch, and what I thought looked like a failure has turned into a huge success. Leading this one woman shifted the entire program into something so much more amazing than I had originally created. Love that. Absolutely. Thanks for sharing, Jasmine. And like, that's what it's all about, right? It's awesome. So going back to prioritizing play and pleasure, your energy behind your launch is what's going to create the best results. So if you're like feeling stale, feeling stressed out, feeling like just burnt out, and you're trying to launch, what do you think the results of that are going to be? Versus if you're like doing the things that light you the fuck up. For me, I love traveling. Sometimes I don't have the opportunity to travel just because I've got like other things going on, and it's like not always like I can just drop everything and go travel. But even like living a lifestyle where you're at, like also too, like if you don't have the means to go travel right now, what can you do in your city, in your neighborhood that allows you to feel lit up, that allows you to feel a high vibe? Like going, I don't know, I live by the beach. I love going and swimming in the ocean. That's why like half of my brand is like me at the beach, because first of all, I want to be myself in my branding, because I want to be myself when I work with my clients. And I think that's really important too, is like being yourself. When I did this launch, I had just gotten back from Mexico, and then I used all of my Mexico photos as my launch material. So like my Mexico photos are my launch material. They had the like fun Mexico energy. So like using content as well, like photos, videos of you when you're feeling your best. And if you're not feeling your best, I want to be careful with this, because I don't mean feeling your best like you're always happy. That's not what I mean to feel your best. What I mean by feeling your best is that you like love the fuck out of yourself and you feel present and you feel like in tune with life and you feel like in the flow. Like for me, that's what it means to feel my best. Like I've been experiencing some deep sadness recently, but it's also been like part of me at my best because I'm so present in that grief that it's like, huh, and I can love myself through it. Like it's not always like, I need to be happy and that's the only high vibe way I can be. But owning your humanness, loving yourself through it. I love this like flirtatious energy, flirting with the universe. I think that goes really well for launching. I see so many parallels between business and dating. It's almost like when you're like, when you're dating, and you're just kind of like flirty, like go with the flow kind of vibes. Like you're not like super, like whoever, if you like are talking to somebody, you're not like, you're just like flirting and having fun. Like that energy, I feel like goes really well into launching. So like doing more of that stuff in your everyday life. Dancing. I love dancing. I feel like the energy, like because we're all females in here, and I think we might have a couple males tuning into the replay, and you men are totally welcome to tune into your feminine energy as well. But because like we're all females here today, like movement and like pleasure and play and owning our feminine energy is so important. I have a lot of people that I work with who are like, I'm overly feminine and I need more masculine, I need more structure, but it's almost like bringing the pleasure and play into the structure and like making it fun. That's why working with your soulmate clients is so important, because your work should be fun. You're literally creating this community of people that you love, your soulmate clients. They light up your soul and you get to be yourself. You get to like be fun and flirty and the best version of yourself through that. So emotional expression, I feel like, is really important as well. Crying, laughing, oh, owning it. Like, don't let the emotions get stuck in your body. Like, be a human, express your emotions. This is also how we keep our energy high. I honestly feel like this is like so underrated. And if I saw a male coach twerk, I'd probably sign up for his program. I love that. I might too. That'd be fascinating, right? Like, you know, why do you think this is? Why do you think pleasure and play sell so well? I think it's because we're attracted to fun. Like we want to have fun. I feel like that's our real nature, to like be joyful, even through the harder emotions like anger and grief, but like enjoying the human experience through that, right? This is also what I mean by owning your humanness. It's not like I'm so perfect, this is me, and I'm so perfect and blah 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 blah, but being like okay and being able to show up when you're frustrated, when you're sad, and knowing that your audience, attracting and designing your audience to love you as you love yourself through that. Really important. Cool. So just to summarize, really important to experience these kind of 5-figure launches. These are like the common things I've seen. Clarifying what your people are going to get from the offer, speaking that into existence for them, speaking that through your stories, speaking that through your content, your reels, your carousels, whatever. And then speaking about your offer consistently, at least 4 days a week. If you can speak about it every day, cool. Sometimes I lose my energy if I'm going at it every single day. So bringing your energy, your high vibe energy, into your ability to sell, creating an attractive freebie. I think like a lot of business coaches teach this. I have my own system that I've come up with for creating a freebie that works really well, that allows you to get market research, embodying the energy of the offer on sales calls, on group presentations like a masterclass or a webinar, and then also prioritizing play and pleasure and fun and dance and crying and all the things, all the good things. So that's that. Does anyone have any questions right now? Or does anyone want to share like something that's landed really deeply? You can unmute yourself if you want to share. Summer, you look like you have something to say.
Okay, I'll say something, but I lost my voice over the weekend, so I sound bad. Mainly the main thing that has landed with me over this so far for with you is just like the energetics behind it, and that's something I really love that I've been really tuning into from a lot of different leaders like you. Is just like how much the perfect people will feel it in your energy when you are really excited about what you're offering. And so, like when you're talking about sales and just like being so excited about what you're sharing that it doesn't even really sound like sales. It's literally just you super stoked to be doing exactly what you feel like you should be doing. And it's going to do the work for you. And these people are going to fall out of the sky. So, yeah, super excited. Thank you for sharing this.
Yes. Yay. Thank you for sharing. I love that. And I totally agree. Like, it's so wild. I'm going to stop this share. It really is wild. Like when you're excited, when you're lit up about what you do. And I mean, yes, people fall out of the sky, but it's also a result of like putting yourself out there and making it clear and having really strong messaging and like having very clear messaging um, for what you do. And yeah, Natasha said, do you find downloadable content, PDFs, content, and a good freebie or better with trainings, master classes, etc.? That's a great question. So, you know, it really depends. I like live experiences. That's just like what I jive with. Like, I like live experiences. I like to go to live experiences. That's what I like to experience. So I like to sell through live experiences. If you like to download PDFs and read through that and have that, and like that's how you absorb information best, do that, right? It's like definitely following your bliss in that sense of like doing what lights you up. I also think too, like the great thing about doing live trainings, I love being live. Like, I feel like my energy is just better. And like, then it gives everybody an insight into like who I am and what I do. And I feel like that, yeah, like Summer said, you can create a personal connection with people, with your audience. And think in terms of like long-term connection to Natasha. Like, I've had people come to my master classes and sign up to work with me months later. So it's not always like an immediate thing. It can be something that happens later, right? I really think in this business, because all of us are coaches, and Jasmine, I see your hand raised. I just want to answer this question first. But all of us that are in this industry, it is about long-term relationships, right? It is like, if you're going to be doing this work for the rest of your life, then it's like, yeah, building those long-term relationships. I feel like live experiences really give your people an opportunity. Like for me, a PDF is a little bit less personal than a live experience. And there's a lot of ways to do live experiences, right? Like you can pre-record stuff. People have like podcasts, which are like not live, they're like pre-recorded. So, but I think like people being able to hear your voice and see your face and feel your energy, like that, you don't get the same experience through a PDF. So those are my thoughts on that. And I offered a live training recently, however, no one signed up. Do I have the same training again or try something different? That would be something like, that would be what we'd work on one-on-one or in my group program as well, is like looking at your messaging, looking at who your audience is, right? If you don't have people signing up, it's either like the messaging is not there or the audience is not there. So it's like either we need to build the audience or we need to change the messaging. And there's lots of different ways to build your audience. Like there is direct outreach. Some people hate direct outreach. I love it and I hate it. I have mixed feelings about it. A few of you here I actually met through direct outreach. And if you've gone through my programs, you know that like it is something I do teach. But there's also like live events, in-person events. Like there's like a lot of different stuff you can do to grow your audience. But I think also too, Natasha, like I would be curious to look at like your energy behind it. Because sometimes if we feel like we're afraid nobody's going to show up, that's what we end up creating. Nobody showing up. So there is a lot of like mindset belief work that goes into this. And it's also too being able to get those feelings, being able to get that fulfillment before we experience the results in our business. And there's a lot of different ways to do that, but that would be my little piece of advice. So good questions. All right, Jasmine.
Hey, Sophie.
Hey.
I want to share my biggest takeaway, which has like given me even more awareness with what's happening right now. So my biggest takeaway from what you shared today is around this piece of trusting that these people are already in my circle, right? And like really coming from that place. As you've been teaching on that today, I'm realizing that that's why like the launch that I messaged about is a recent thing. And I had a woman, after I had decided to abandon it because it was crickets, message and say, like, how do I sign up? I want in. And I had this moment like, oh my gosh, I have to decide. Do I tell her I've abandoned the program or do I do it? And in following it, it is giving me like all the clarity, all of the things that I struggled with for so long. I'm finding that in this container that looked like it was a failure that I almost didn't do. And one of those pieces is realizing I keep getting these direct reflections because it's just me and her in there that she's been following me for years, that I am the only coach within the community. Like some of her past coaches are women that I like idolize, that I haven't been showing up fully because I've been thinking they're already doing it and they've been doing it for 10 years. Why should I do it? Right. And so, yeah, as you're teaching today, I'm like, oh my God, like it is that piece. If I hadn't have had that piece, which is something I learned from you, that just trust that they're there and show up anyway, and then follow the energy. And if the universe brings me this one person, then that means I prayed on this, right? I go all in and I follow that energy, and yeah, and it's leading to magic. So yeah, I just wanted to share that.
Yay, I love it. Yes, that is such a big win. And yeah, I was receiving some downloads too as you were sharing that. Yeah, I think too, when it comes to launching, this is why I teach the freebie approach. If you're going straight into like launching the offer, and you don't have a warmed up audience, you have to think about it really from their shoes, because even signing up for a freebie, this is why I love direct reach out. And this is why and I'm really into relationship building. First of all, I love people and I see divine in everyone. So I just like love people and I like honor that in people. I think that's a great mindset place to be as well. Wanting to meet more people, wanting to build deeper relationships, building relationships with people online. This is a big part of my focus too. Like, what does it mean to be in a relationship with somebody online, right? I don't know, like what if you were like, you're good friends, like what do your relationships look like? Are you guys keeping in touch? Are you like acknowledging their wins? Are you celebrating them? You know, like it's not just like give me, it's not like taking all the time. There's also a lot of giving. There's a lot of giving involved too. And I think that's important. The relationships are really foundational in my work and what I teach you how to do, because that's how I've built my business. That's what I did in sales too. I built a lot of really amazing relationships. I used to do this on LinkedIn, built some incredible relationships with some really high level people, which was awesome. And I think relationships are really important too. And like, if you're lacking people signing up for things, focus on relationship building for a little bit. That would be also for Natasha, like a piece of advice that I would offer. Cool. Any more questions? Renee? Yeah.
I have a share, and something that you said a moment ago, Sophia, kind of popped in my mind. Something of relationships in my life and how I'm a very independent and like individual person. I stay in, but I love people. But the relationships, the one-on relationships, there's not many, and I kind of prefer it that way too for the energy frequency in my life. So it's interesting to hear you say that and how to authentically show up within my business while still honoring relationships, because I care about people, you know. It's just I'm not holding their hands or tapping on them, seeing how they're doing. Like, yeah.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I think it needs to come from an aligned and genuine place. Like, I mean, literally there are people, I even have mentors who have like virtual assistants who will like follow up with people, and like, that's a way to do it too. Like you can hire somebody to keep your relationships. I don't do that. That's why like I love sending voice notes and doing things like that, because I'm like, yo, this is really me behind this. As I get busier, like I will probably bring on team members to help with some of that, but there'll be team members who are like aligned with me, who are aligned with the relationships that I want to be building. But I think also too, like, it doesn't need to be overwhelming. Like, even if you're building 5 relationships with people, like it's more of like the long-term impact, the depth of impact that you're going to have in their life versus like the fast, short thing. But I think also too, like as business owners, all of your clients you're going to be in a relationship with, and they need to trust you enough to pay you for your services. And a big part of that is like being in relationships, right? One of my mentors I just hired, I hired her for, I joined one of her high level masterminds, Shoshana Raven. I don't know if anybody's familiar with her, but like I binged all of her stuff. Summer is, yeah, I love her. Oh my gosh, crazy. I was like already working with a coach. And then I was like, I'm going to join this program too. Craziest thing I've ever done. But I binged all of her stuff. I listened to all of her podcasts. I listened to all of her lives. That was me building a relationship with her. So that's an opportunity for you to do it as well. It's not always like reaching out to people and DMing them. Like that's not the only way to build relationships. You build relationships through your content. You build relationships through your storytelling. You build your relationships with people through being able to lead, through providing valuable content. And like, but that needs to come from within you, right? That's what I mean. Like you have to want to give, you have to want to do it. I can't give you a magic pill to like make you want to do that. Like that has to come from within you.
Thank you for that. Something I want to share was what connected for me most is around clarity of information. Because I did launch a backpacking retreat roughly a year ago because folks were inviting me into it. They were showing interest. Nobody signed up. My projector self went really bitter. And then I was like, okay, realign, rewire. And I keep receiving invitations for them. And I'm noticing that the retreat's not something that I feel called to do, but I'd be super stoked to like guide people through the process of empowering themselves to do it. So my mind's all scattered. And with this call, it's supported with funneling down my own scatteredness around clarity. So like get clear for myself first, so I know what folks will receive to then be able to communicate. So thank you for that.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. Yeah. And that's something I focus a lot on in my one-on-one and in my group work too, is like clarity around your offer, clarity around your messaging, clarity around your ideal client. I think that's really important for your energetic embodiment as well, as like you knowing who it's for, right? If we're going into business and we're going into a launch without knowing that kind of stuff, our energy reflects that. So having that really solid clarity is really important. I think like that's really key. That's why I focus so much on the clarity in the beginning. And then it's like from there, it's really, I kind of want to say easy. I would even go out on a limb and be like, it's easy to get the results. So, yeah, if anybody's curious too about like the work that I do, if you are interested in deepening your knowledge in this work, I've broadened my product suite a little bit and I'm working on a lot of really exciting stuff. I'm going to be doing some short burst programs that are in the works. So I'm not quite ready to share on that, but I do have my group program that's going to be starting in September 1st. And I've made it very accessible because I want as many people as they want. I want as many people as wanted to be able to have access to this kind of information. So that starts in September. If anybody's interested, there is an option for upgraded VIP one-on-one, 4 months or 6 months as well. Yeah, I'm kind of transitioning out of one-on-one and doing more group stuff, but I do still have a few one-on-one spots available. If anybody's interested, just send me a message. I think we're all friends on Instagram. We can even do like a free little business audit if you're interested, like take a look and see if it's a good fit. But yeah, this was awesome. Thank you all so much for being here. Are there any closing thoughts or last questions or anything else you want to add?
Something Jasmine said that has come up for me a lot of like, why would, this particular client sign up with me if they've been like following these other coaches that are doing similar work for like 10 years. That's been something I've had to work through like big time, and just like reminding myself that maybe I'm more accessible than the coach that has 300,000 followers. Maybe they feel like they can build a stronger, closer relationship with me. And so that's been a really helpful little like mindset shift that I've tried to like work with over the last year. So just wanted to share that.
Yeah, maybe you're more accessible and maybe you're more awesome because you're you. Like, that's all.
I mean, obviously. Thank you, though. I really found this very beneficial. And the biggest takeaway for me was that these people are probably already following me. They're probably already in orbit with my content. And I forget that quite frequently. And so I'm always like thinking, I have to find more people. I have to get more followers. I have to do this, I have to post this type of content, but just reminding myself that they're already in my field. So
Yay.
yeah, thank you.
Love it. Thank you all. I love you all so much. This was amazing. Oh, I really appreciate you being here. Thank you for letting me do stuff that I love. And yeah, have a beautiful rest of your day.